Oh, the computer came?
I said, what a pair of damn print.
Now this I
We're live.
found it.
Okay, Donna, you ready?
Yeah. He said, at least we get along.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to the Delaware County Council meeting, July 28th, 2020 at 9 a.m. or a little after. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order, and we'll, if you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Jessica, you want to start us off?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Donna, can we get a roll call, please?
Yep. Mr. Ballard.
Here.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Here.
Ms. Chambers.
Present.
Ms. Lassiter.
Here.
Ms. Piper.
Here.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Here.
Mr. Alexander.
Here. And Denise, was the agenda posted and published?
Yes.
Thank you. I need an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Ryan, second from Jessica. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes. Okay, everybody had copies of the minutes sent out by email. I need a motion to approve
Move to approve. Second.
minutes. Got a motion from Ron, second from
Brian. That's fine.
Ryan. Any discussion on those changes, corrections
What was it? What was the motion?
for the minutes?
Oh. God, Steve, don't have these in order.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Staying.
Get me?
Alexander.
Yes. Okay, again, while we've got restrictions in place, public comments can be directed to the county council email address that's set up. It's countycouncildist@co.delaware.in.us. Again, that's countycouncildist@co.delaware.in.us. And we are ready for the transfer.
Okay, the county commissioners has been withdrawn,
Yes.
so moving on to the coroner. 133 part-time plus 6,000, 311 autopsy lab minus 6,000, total request 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Got a motion from Jessica, a second from Ryan. Any discussion on that? Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Communications, C-126 plus $18,060, B-126 minus $18,060, E-121 plus $18,060, D-121 minus $18,060, total request 0.
Move to approve. Second.
Where'd that motion from, Larry?
Yeah.
Okay, motion from Larry, second from Jessica. Any discussion on that? You have anything you'd like to talk about on those positions?
For the new hires?
Yeah.
Full-times, yes. We've got 2 people that we just recently hired as part-time for
State her
now.
name and the department that she's in.
I'm Lorinda Abrams. I'm with Delaware County Emergency Communications 911. Paul Singleton, our director, is off on sick leave right now. We've got 2 people that we hired full-time that do have a lot of experience, and we would like to get them in to full-time so that they stay with us because it's hard to find people with experience.
I can't remember from just last Thursday, but were these part-time, are they hired on part-time now?
They hired on part-time. Their first day was last Thursday. I would like for them to go full-time this Thursday.
Okay.
It'll be faster to train them and a lot easier to retain them.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on that, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, okay. Any discussion from council? Roll call, please.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Thank you.
Emergency Management, 101 Director, minus 16,000 to 1864. A101 Director, plus 16,000 to 1864. D102 Deputy Director, minus $14,890.52. E102 Deputy Director, plus $14,890.52.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Jessica, second from Ron. Any discussion on that? You want to introduce yourself? Are you official now?
I believe so. Good morning, council. I'm John Catino, now the Director of Emergency Management. We're just transferring Jason's stuff, or me into Jason's line, and a new Deputy Director, Corey Kissy. He comes to me from 911, has several emergency service backgrounds, Albany Fire, Albany Police, obviously 911. He's on the hazmat team as well, so we've split Jason's position from EMA, EMS to just EMA and EMS, so should be good.
So it's separate now?
Separate now. Yes, we separated them. I apologize.
Back the way it started, right?
Correct.
Okay, any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes, and welcome. Glad you're here.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Title 4D Court, 175 Insurance, plus $1,570, 323 travel expense, minus $1,570, total request 0.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion from Jessica, second from Ryan. Any questions on that? Roll call?
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Public Defender's Office, $399 minus $900, $311 plus $900, total request 0.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Jessica, second from Ryan. Any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Family Support, 109 minus 10,500, A109 plus 10,500, total request 0.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Jessica, second from Larry.
Yep.
Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Jail, C-141, Correction Officer, that first one, I don't know which agendas you guys printed, so the figure is $15,457.90. D-141 would be plus $15,457.90. A-101 minus $12,624.20. B-101 plus $12,624.20. Total request 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Got a motion from Jessica, a second from Jane. Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
GIS, that should say 102A minus 6,000. 102A minus, that should really say $4,231. 101 should say plus $4,231. 313 plus 6,000. And 101, it was suggested, that should be called Chief Information Officer instead of GIS Coordinator. Chief Information Officer. Total request is 0.
Second.
Got a motion from Jessica, a second from Ryan? Okay. All right. Kyle, you want to
Give you kind of a summary of what's going on?
give us a summary? Yeah, this started back, you had lost a position
Right, so.
in your office. Go ahead and bring everybody up to date on where we're at.
One employee that was in my office, the GIS technician, was primarily in charge of maintaining parcel boundaries, among other things. He left for a new job in June. Obviously, we're not replacing that position anytime soon, so I kind of took the opportunity to kind of take a look at my department and figure out if it's a time to kind of reorganize. I mean, it's been in place since the late 90s, and nothing has really changed in terms of the organization and what we provide. A lot of things have changed. Everything's web-based now. You know, we don't do as much printing and stuff like that. So in conversations with the commissioners and other department heads and elected officials, my role since kind of the beginning of the response to the pandemic had changed. Kind of became the person in charge of taking all the information from everywhere and summarizing it, making it available to the public and other departments and government entities. So commissioners decided to give me a new title and kind of move things around a little bit and put me kind of officially in charge of those information services in terms of website, social media. So there hasn't really been a person who is in charge of that stuff. It's always kind of distributed. Different departments have people that put stuff, but nobody that anyone can really go to if they need help or want to develop something. So I want to step into that role. So there's 2 transfers in this. The first one is to increase my salary to compensate me for that extra work. And then the other one is for contractual services where we can hire a company to help with that property boundary maintenance. So it'll be a small amount that we can pay to keep that stuff updated. If anybody has any questions.
I'd like to give, oh, sorry,
Go
Ron.
ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to give a little kudo to our president, Scott. He called me and he's really been trying his best to keep this hiring freeze intact, and yet this was a pretty important position, and through our discussion, it was decided that what he would follow up on, and he has done a part of the coordination of commissioners and Kyle and Scott's he's done a good job there, and I appreciate that.
Well, I think Shannon and gets a lot of credit too, and Kyle for, because the initial, I think, answer was to this, it was kind of, no, we didn't think we could do that, and that developed into, well, let's think about it and work through it, and we got it to this point. But I think the delivery from, and we found this out when we were down with COVID, the delivery, we kind of knew anyway. I think that the delivery from government to the citizens wasn't great, and I think this will continue, we'll improve it now, but we'll continue it to improvement as technology changes and as restrictions change one way or the other, whether it be more or less going forward. So I think it'll be a really good thing. I appreciate you stepping in and
Yeah, I think there's a
making
lot
that
we can
happen.
do to kind of develop it and increase, what we provide, so.
Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, so it's
I jumped
okay.
in there, didn't I?
So I also wanted to give Kyle kudos. He's done a ton of work during all of this pandemic time. And even from that very first emergency meeting we had, right there from the get-go, he had that dashboard going and information available to the community. He did a fantastic job with that. He actually did the videography for our YouTube videos. So he came out and did the recording. I know he got Anitra from City Council and myself one day. We were on one of those videos. But in my personal career, I'm a data analyst, and I look at numbers a variety of different ways. And anytime I'd reach out to Kyle and say, okay, do you have information about this or that? And we'd kind of look at the data, and he'd update a dashboard with something to tell maybe a different story than just the cumulative numbers. And he's been such a joy to work with, and I just really appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Carl, I got a question on the contractual services. Will that be for the remainder of the year, or will that?
Yeah, so that amount would be, there's a setup fee, and then, yeah, whatever the monthly cost would be, that'll set for the rest of the year.
Like 12,000 for 2021?
I think it's 10.
10.
It's 10, so that'll be in my budget request
Okay.
that you'll look at it in September.
There's some setup fee, and we asked that in finance too. The setup to get it going was the cost that was greater than what would be half a year.
Okay, gotcha.
In here, if you're looking at that, that was,
Right.
that drew our attention as well.
Hoping to have that contract signed at the next commissioners meeting so we can get it going in August, because that stuff hasn't really been going on for the last 2 months, so we're getting behind.
Did you have a chance to come up with a savings amount?
Yeah,
what
for
we're-
this year, with those transfers, it's my budget, just out of the GIS tech line item, is gonna be about $6,400 that you'll save. And then next year, with what I submitted for my budget, with 10,000 to me and 10,000 to contractual services, is gonna save 17. And then if you add in the benefits, which Donna told me was about 24, it's gonna be about $42,000.
Okay, thank you.
What I call turning a negative into a positive.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes. Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
Jail lit, A112, that should say minus $16,762.75. B112 plus $16,762.75. Total request 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Got a motion from Jessica, second from Ryan. Any discussion on that? Questions from council? Roll call, please.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes. Want to go to the addendum?
Yep. Okay, clerk, C-125 minus 12,583.21, D-125 plus 12,583.21, 129 minus 14,163.30, A-129 plus 14,163.30, total request 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Got a motion from Jessica and a second from Larry. These two, I believe, we have to amend the hiring freeze resolution on this one,
Right.
if we approve those.
Yes.
Go ahead, Rick.
Okay, the first one, the filing clerk is in our, of course, our filing office over in the jail. We have 5 people there, 1 for each court. So we're already down from years past. Without this person being in there, we can't get all the cases filed that we have now, let alone when the courts open back up and get going again. So it's really putting a burden on the other 4 in my staff, and it's actually backfiring on the courts too, because, well, I shouldn't say it that way, it's actually backing them up too, because they have to have this stuff done in a timely manner so they can have their hearings. Second one is in what used to be voter registration. It's deputy registration clerk. And as you know, last year we went from 4 employees down to 2 there. So we're working with 2. This was one of the 2. And we are in the process of registering voters for this upcoming election, and we've already started receiving absentee applications. So we're looking at this probably being the biggest election we've ever had. So need some help.
Move to approve.
I think we've already got,
Oh, sorry.
I think we've got the motion and the second.
We can do it again, go on.
Any more questions from council on this? Again, if we approve this, we're gonna have to amend the,
Do you need to do
We
that?
need to Go ahead and amend do it that first.
Yes.
well, I think we can do that at the end, can't we, like we did?
Right.
Yeah, we'll just do that at the end when we make the motion. We'll have to amend that at the same time. Jessica, you did that
Yeah.
last month, I think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote down what I said, so.
So we can go ahead and vote on these. If they're approved, then we can, at the end, we will amend that.
Ready?
Good? Yeah, we're ready for a roll call.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Okay, Communications Center.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
I should say 101, Communication Tech minus $188, 177, Education Incentive minus $2,331.36, B122, Communication Tech minus $4,099.34, D123, Communication Tech minus $10,000, 196 overtime plus $16,618.70, total request 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Jessica, second from a couple different directions there. Who?
Jane.
Jane, okay. Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Jail, 133, wait a minute, 393 school minus 1,840, A133 corrections officer plus 1,840, D132 correction officer minus 1,368.25, E132 correction officer plus 1,368.25, total request 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Jessica, second from Larry. Any discussion?
Real quick, school.
Yep.
Can someone explain that to me? School.
Here we go.
Due to Nancy Marvin, I'm the office manager for the sheriff. Due to COVID, we haven't been able to use up all of our training budget, obviously. Last year, if you remember, I had to come before you because we had an individual who's what I call the 60% roll-in. I don't remember what Donna actually calls it.
Pretty close.
But anyway, it's the longevity that was rolled in from people who've been with the agency for a while. That got dropped off of an individual. Again, this year it got dropped off of an individual, so I'm happy to make that money up. Because we had money excess in schooling, I pulled it from that to put in there to cover his salary.
Gotcha.
And it's correct on the next year's
Yes.
budget
I
request.
was just getting ready to say that. Thank
Yes,
you.
we already
Nancy
went
have
through all
that part
yeah.
corrected. It just, last year, it happened after budgets, when we called it, so that's why it wasn't in this year's budget, and then we just called it the other day, so it's correct for next year.
I think for the record, the word roll up or roll in is make up, but that's good. What it was is we had 4 different longevity programs in the county government, and none were alike. And we amended that with the help of the commissioners, and all departments are on the same longevity, but to be fair to the individual employees that had more time and more longevity, we just rolled that difference into their salary so that they, on their gross pay for the year, it stayed the same, and this particular one just got missed. So that's what that's about. And but you know, it's a good time to just say thank you, because that is saving some money on longevity by doing what we did on the long period, and it's not hurting any one individual employee. And as we've had people retire, then it kind of begins to trickle up, I call it. Helps the budget.
Any other comments or questions from council? Roll call, please.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
911, D102 supervisor, plus 16,379.33. C102 supervisor, minus 16,379.33. Total request, 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Jessica, second from Ryan. Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Okay, financial agenda. EMS, 192, education incentive pay, $6,923. Total requests, $6,923.
Move to approve.
Second?
Got a motion from Ryan, second from Jessica. And, well, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself and your new position?
Well, I'm Mike Ashley, Delaware County EMS interim director, still waiting on the other confirmation, so.
Okay, all right.
So this is educational incentive pay. All these people, this was kind of brought up last fall when we started this. And they've been due, this particular group today, the 4 people, have been due since April. And they've met all the requirements, hit all the benchmarks. But I wanted to tell you a little bit more about than just the benchmarks that we'd set up in the fall. I've really seen through the dedication that these guys have really put in, because we've been through some tremendous changes, as you know, and we're still going through a lot of change. And these guys have stuck it out, stayed with us through other job offers, I might add, and they've really stepped up to the plate. And that's not even including the COVID situation that came about. And through all that, they have just stuck it out and did above and beyond what the normal people would do. Almost every one of them have been on the what I call the exposures list through this whole COVID emergency, where they've directly had patient contact and transported people that were positive, and I mean really sick with the COVID, and I mean declared positive through the health department. Never wavered a bit. I've had a couple of them that actually caught the virus themselves and recovered and came back to work. We've had several others that were ill that were suspected to have the virus, even though they tested negative. But at the time of the testing in the last couple of months, the doc said that it's about a 70% chance that the positive results are actually accurate. He said the other 30% chance that you've really got it, but it shows negative. But through all that, these guys have really stepped up to the plate. I mean, above and beyond whatever incentive eligibility requirements they had to reach the next class of their paramedic pay. And I just can't say enough about them. And they've never wavered a bit. When we had guys off, they all stepped up to the plate to fill in. Never had to force anybody to work, and they've just done an outstanding job. But do you have any questions about this particular?
Well, we talked about this in Finance Committee. I also talked to you, I think, the night before, Finance Committee, to see if we could find anywhere else to take this other than the general fund, and there just really isn't. Donna took a look at it, and you guys, I know, took a look at it, and unfortunately, that's where it's going to have to come from. But this will be corrected in the next year's budget.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
If I recall, when we did this last year, we knew we were gonna have to fund this additionally, because there wasn't any, and I just thank Mike and his assistant for, sorry, I can't remember your name. But Megan. I miss names a lot and get in trouble, but at least I didn't call you the wrong name, okay? But they put together a lot of good information for us. There's sheets of it here to show us exactly what they're doing. And
Well, we got a lot of work left to do.
later on, you've got another item. Are you gonna talk about this commissioner's audit ordinance?
Yes, I can, yep.
I mean,
Hadn't planned to.
We've got a motion on the floor right now, but I wanna thank Mike and what he's
Yep.
doing, and I don't know what you mean by not being official yet, but if you need any letter of recommendation, give us a holler.
Well, it's okay. It's all good.
They may not listen to me, but they might listen to some of these other people here.
Well, and this again was done after last year's budget, so it wasn't in last year's budget to be able to cover it, so. Any more questions from council? Okay, roll call.
One more comment. I asked Mike about retroactive on this, since these employees, paramedics, had fulfilled the requirements before now. And he said they had talked and they said no, they would just take it at the next payroll. So there again,
Another
they've
sign of
stepped
their
up.
dedication.
They've stepped up, and I know you had some officers that also stepped up last month, and so these are dedicated people, and that's why I think the council really took it serious when this program was shown to us last year to give these folks incentives to stay here, because they were financially, their families came first, and they were being offered opportunities elsewhere, and we were losing people. Now we're keeping them, and that's great.
And we definitely want to keep the people we got. I'm telling you, this COVID thing really showed just how dedicated they are.
Yeah, I bet.
So, and that's still ongoing.
I know I talk a little bit about this, and I pat myself on the back a lot, but I've been involved in this EMS since it was about 3 years old. When I became a commissioner, there weren't any paramedics on the street. When I left, it was full bore, and there was a new station at number 1 about ready to open. So I take credit for that, but I give credit to the people that worked it the whole time for the last 40 years that have built this to what it is, and it kind of broke my heart when the city decided that they could do it better than the county, but life changes, and I just hope it progresses the way it is, and we still have our reputation to be the best in the state.
Okay, roll call, please. Thanks, Ron.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Thank you.
EMS capital improvement, 444, equipment repair, air conditioner and generator, $11,506. Total request, $11,506.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Jessica, second from Brian.
Yes.
Any discussion on that? This is a piece of equipment that has been repaired and failed at this point and needs replaced.
Yep, and it was enough that I couldn't just replace it without coming before you. And I gave pictures because it's just a transfer switch, and some people think of a switch. This thing is like gigantic, and got to operate it manually when it's storming outside, and it's all metal, and it's 80,000 watts, so we really need to get it replaced.
Yeah,
so
here,
it
I'm gonna
kicks on
pass
its
these
own.
down for you guys to look at. There we go. These are all the pictures on there, but if you look in the box, this is how they've been cycling this by hand, and it needs replaced. There we go.
And once it's fixed, it's automatic.
Yep, yep.
It was automatic, or supposed to be automatic anyway, wasn't it?
For about the last 16 out of 17 years, it has been, yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's just been kind of hairy the past year, so,
Well, that's a safety hazard in a sense.
yep,
Go out and flip a switch when it's raining, huh?
yeah. Usually when the power's off, it's not a good time to be out there, but anyway. Kind of hard to raise those 18-foot garage doors without power.
Yeah.
What's the timeline on, will they be able to get that fixed pretty quick?
If it's approved, I'm making the phone call as soon as I leave here, actually.
Okay.
So I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks. We'll have to shut that station down for about 8 hours while they do that.
You guys want to see those pictures before we go ahead, or? You okay? Okay. Go ahead, roll call, please.
Mr. Quakenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Surveyor perpetuation, long and short-term disability, $10, total request $10.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion by Jessica, second by Ron. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe. Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Thanks, Tom.
Ineligible standard deduction, 103, chief settlement deputy, 2,000, total request 2,000.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Jessica, second from Ryan.
Ron?
Ron? Sorry about that.
Like to keep you on your toes.
That's right. Any discussion on that from council? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Plat room maintenance, 442. Copier, $3,000, total request 3,000.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Jessica, second from Ryan. Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe. Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
That's it.
And now
All
we
right,
need.
let's see if I don't botch this.
Hang on a minute. Is there anything else, Denise?
Nope.
Okay, all right. I didn't
All
think
right.
so, but
Let's hear it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so motion to approve financial transfers and to amend Resolution 2020-015 in compliance and salary ordinance with like reductions.
Second.
motion from Jessica, second from Ryan. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sorry. Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe. Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Running out of papers.
All right. We have an appointment. One of the members of that board has passed away, and it's been about a month or so, a little over, and we need to reappoint that position, and I would entertain a motion to approve Lefay Pegues. He meets the requirements on there. I hope I've said that right. I did not ask him to come to the meeting because of the restrictions on this, but he's got a really good background, and I think he'll make a good addition to that board.
So moved.
Second.
Did you say
Motion
what
from
board?
Larry, hang on,
Say
motion,
what board?
the Housing Authority.
Okay.
How do you spell his name?
Yeah, I need the spelling of his name.
I'll give it to you here as soon as I get the motion from Larry, the second from Jessica.
Yes.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Just thank you for finding someone. Appreciate it.
Well, actually, Anitra Davis helped me out a little bit with making contact there, giving me thank you, Anitra, giving me the contact information, and I have it in my file. Oh, I had it set right out here, so I would remember to give it to you. It's Lathay Pegues. And I have his, tell you what, let me take a picture of this, Denise, and I'll just give you this.
Okay, and the term will be through what the other person's was?
Yeah, he will finish out the that term.
Okay.
And here is his info, his name, address, phone number, email.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And we got that approved, right?
Yep.
Okay. We have no ordinances in front of us.
You're not gonna do roll call?
Oh, I didn't do that? All right. Give me a roll call, please. Sorry about
Piper?
that.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes. We have no ordinance in front of us today. We do have a resolution to reduce appropriations to the Fair Board. Everybody received a copy of that. That'll be Resolution 2020-031. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Jessica, second from Ryan. Donna, you want to?
Yeah, due to, unfortunately, not being able to have a fair this year, we've totally lost all of our revenue. The fair week is our main income. And the commissioners have helped us out by giving the fair edit monies to try to hopefully get us through to the end of the year. It's going to be really close, but we also got a PPP loan through the nonprofit, which we got last week, which was $15,800, and it can only be used on salaries and utilities. Salaries are the only thing we pay through the nonprofit part, so we'll pay our salaries. So that $15,800 is going to help quite a bit, but we're also going to try to maybe have a couple fall events to raise some money, because if not, the cash that I have on hand is just going to get us through the end of the year. Maybe first pay in January. So if it comes down to that, Shannon said that, you know, he will try to find some money for us the first year, because commissioners don't want to take this back over. But we have to have enough funds in there to make it to the fair next year, because that's our main income. So we've had, just in the last week, we had one event cancel, which we now have to refund $2,300 to, which was scheduled originally in April. It was rescheduled for September, and now they've decided to completely cancel for the year. Can't remember if it was the Alzheimer's walk or it was some kind of organization walk like that. Then we had another, yeah, can't remember. We had another wedding reception cancel, which not refunds, not a whole lot, but every little penny helps. So in order to balance the budget for this year, everything on here pretty much has to do with the fair. With the exception of a couple of, like that contractual services didn't. Pretty much all this has to do with the fair. I was able to reduce the sewage because, of course, the sewage is down because of that. So next year I have turned in a budget. I think I reduced it like $10,000, but based on hoping we're going to have a fair next year. So if something happens, we don't have that next year, then I'll have to come back and reduce it later. But right now, I'm acting like hopefully next year's going to be normal for the budget. So
Any questions from council?
I guess we can't blame the weather on the fair anymore.
no, we would have had a pretty good week this week, or it would have been last week.
It's
So
always that little funny, you know, well, it's fair week, it's gonna rain, but it rained anyway, so we can't blame it on the fair this year.
no.
Well, I certainly give credit to Purdue and to our extension office that was able to.
You want to come on in?
Well, I'll let her tell you what they were able to do.
I
Thank
I
you.
think it's great that you guys were able to pull off something for 4-H at the fair. So the fair did go on. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the 4-H exhibition did go on. We had a great group of volunteers. Our 4-H council did an amazing job going through and creating a very detailed safety plan, which we, as I reported last time, had approved by the Delaware County Health Department and also the Associate Dean of the College of Agriculture before we could move forward. And so just lots of kudos to our volunteers, our 4-H council, our livestock committee superintendents. Everybody had their masks on out at the fair, and they did their social distancing. So we were able to hold an exhibitor-only fair. And so that helped us make sure that we maintained that health department guidelines, that we never had more than 250 people on the fairgrounds or in that community building at any one time. So we did a wristband system, and we asked that our exhibitors only have 4 guests, and then those guests would leave the fairgrounds afterwards. All youth had a choice to do it in person or virtual, so we wanted to acknowledge the fact that not all kids and families felt comfortable or safe with that sort of in-person fair event, and so we did offer a virtual option for anybody who wanted to participate, and there was no penalty for that. They still got the same participation acknowledgement in their 4-H record and ribbons or, placing as well.
Thank you, and all the staff that helped to work out there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for letting us, having the faith in us to do it safely and protect our kids in our community.
I would say, I think it's great, and I saw a lot of folks posting on social media pictures of their kids and their 4-H pets and animals, and it was just nice to see that joy on all those children's faces, too, that they got to participate, so thank you.
Molly, I have only received the first letter about the auction.
Okay.
How soon will that be coming? Because I'm sure we will all want to donate.
I'm not sure. So the auction committee is actually separate from our office for fiscal purposes. And so that would be through Tommy Eisen and Sean Eldridge, who's the vice president of the 4-H council. But I can follow up and let you know.
Excuse me. Explain to the council how they're going to do it.
So this year, instead of having a live auction for lots of different reasons, we didn't have a market truck. So all of the kids took their animals home with them. Part of that is because of the meat processing plants are so backed up because certain ones have been closed and other ag-related issues. So the kids did a one-pot auction where donors all donate to one pot, and then it's split evenly between the 4-Hers. Donors are able to choose, let's say you feel very connected to the beef project or the swine project, you can ask to donate to that project and those youth, but otherwise the pot is split evenly. And so that's one way that our 4-Hers just, if they take a really big project like beef or swine, a lot of money goes into the feed and the care of those animals. So it helps them recoup a little bit of those funds.
So we'll be looking forward to a letter from.
Okay, I will follow up. Yep, I'll follow up with our office and the auction committee because I do believe those letters come out. I think they're posted out of our office. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We need a roll call.
Mr.
on that, don't
Quakenbush?
we?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes. And then I've got, you got anything else on that? We're good there?
Yep.
Donna, okay. I've got you back up here on discussion on EMS position for new business. And you guys have copies.
I give you that, I made this little thing, and this is, instead of moving, instead of moving 104 to a whole new number, giving it a ABC, because in the EMS budget, the way it was set up, Jason's pay, that was only where he got a partial pay. So it's easier just to change the name on both of these accounts. And so instead of, right now, 104, which is Mike, is Deputy Director Paramedic, which will go to Executive Director. And 178 currently is a paramedic, which will soon be 178, the deputy director. So I wanted to go ahead and give that to you so you could either approve it or whatever you decide, so we can make the name change.
Need a motion to approve both of those, if you're okay with that.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion from Jessica, second from Brian. Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe? Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter?
Yes.
Ms. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes. Okay. Any department heads or elected officials?
I attended the Visitors Bureau meeting. I can report that they have collected $245,000 so far this year. This is all their financials and their minutes, and so I want to give it to the president for him to look over. It's kind of,
Okay, thank you.
It's kind of interesting. It's kind of an interesting committee.
I've been following it, and I actually just got reports from the treasurer's office on the amounts for Visitors Bureau. And we've seen them go down because it's funded, the way of it's funded through that one. And the same thing with on the convention center. Convention center's been hit with not only food and beverage tax, but they can't have events as well there. So both of those groups, I think, are working through and making reductions to try and compensate for that. And well, Jessica is going to be on convention center
I
starting
am.
next month. So
Yes, yeah. Well, and I will say for the convention center, I think anyone else in here, Scott and I attended the Chamber of Commerce lunch was it last week, 2 weeks ago?
yeah.
And the convention center did an excellent job of spacing us all out. All the tables were 10 feet apart. They sat us 4 to a table instead of 8. We wore our masks unless we were eating or drinking. They had servers at food and beverage stations. The food was all brought right to our table, and they did an excellent job of accommodating the restrictions.
Yeah, they've really, Joanne's done a good job of changing around and like I say, I mean, we're all getting bombarded with things. It was on a daily basis. It's slowed down slightly, I think, since then on changes that were coming out from the state, the state health department, local health departments, the emergency resolutions from both the governor's side and local, the commissioner's side, that everybody's had to deal with. And I've got another one there Thursday, a luncheon Thursday there that I'll be at, so I'll get a critique it again.
There you
so,
go.
yeah.
Also, did everybody get this in the mail?
Here, it's right here.
Who's yours?
Yeah, I briefly went through it yesterday. It's interesting.
It is very interesting. I wish I was more familiar with some of the information, but Michael Hicks from Ball State did this, and it's really very interesting, so I would encourage you to read it. If you're like me, you're not going to understand 90% of it, but the 10% you understand, you'll find interesting.
Everybody should have a copy of their budget book, so you guys can start to work here in your spare time. No?
I haven't gotten back from the printer yet.
Oh, what did I get here? That's not the budget book. Okay,
the
that's the
AIC
AIC book. Never mind. Okay, we're
I
waiting
was
on
hoping I'd
those.
have them for you today, so hopefully.
Darn, false alarm.
Hopefully one day this week I'll be emailing everybody to come pick it up. I
Okay,
took it last week, but, like I said, I was hoping I'd have them by today, but,
can you send those out electronically too, to us? Okay.
Like the Excel file version. Thank you. And then should we all be receiving AIC books, or is that just for the
no,
president?
we only get one. You
Okay.
can order them. They're like $25
Okay.
a piece.
Thank you.
Only the president of the council and commissioner did.
Okay.
I don't know whether this is available, should be, I would think, from AIC Online.
Probably,
Yes.
yeah.
There was, did you get that from Steve?
Denise
me.
handed it to
He
me
gave it to
this
me,
morning.
yeah. There
Yeah.
was, Steve also got a letter saying that you could order them
Okay.
through the AIC.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Anitra Davis, and I'm with Muncie City Council. I have been in discussions with President Alexander prior to the commissioners passing the resolution last week. The resolution was 030 regarding equal treatment of all people. But I was already slated to come, so I am here. And I just want to talk real quick about racism. We haven't talked about it here in County Council. We talked about it at City Council, and I'm just hoping that you all would come alongside with us in condemning racism. So I wrote a little something, and basically racism is in the fabric of this country. That means it can covertly be in decisions of economic redevelopment, project placements, allotted dollars, all of which this council has a hand in. So is racism something that must be condemned on all fronts? Absolutely. Do we need to have hard conversations and ask questions about our possible decisions? Absolutely. Racism silently steals wealth. Racism wastes time. Racism raises blood pressure. Racism prevents us from moving forward productively. In my 20s, one job asked me to change my name while making sales calls because they felt their customers would not be comfortable purchasing products from someone with such an ethnic name. At that point in time, I needed the employment to pay my bills. So on duty, my name was Beth. I say this from a place of absolute torment. Racism makes me hate myself for my calm acceptance of changing my name and all the other things I have done to attempt to achieve a fair result. Simply put, racism is in all its forms has no place in our decision making. Racism must be condemned and fought in every way. And my hope is that you all here on County Council feel the same way, and we could all agree that racism must be condemned. Thank you for listening, and I hope you consider that.
Thanks, Anitra. Mike, do you have something? Yep.
On July 6th, I went in front of the commissioners and got the ordinance changed, and this was all new to me, so I was kind of feeling my way through it, but the ordinance changed that allots the amount of money that goes into our capital accounts, and I emailed that out to you guys. Just wanted to know if you had any questions. It should bring back in, well, we did a fund reduction to those 4 accounts. That should automatically put $282,000 a year back to the general fund. We're still going to be looking at those accounts as well moving forward, but did anybody have any questions about?
And that's on top of whatever you've already given back from an EMS standpoint?
Yes, yeah,
Do you know what that total number is?
282,000.
That's it.
Excuse me.
And I'm gonna comment on this because I know, Donna Patterson worked with what was that guy's name for you?
Jason? Forgot already?
And Mike kind of got right in it, and I know Donna was involved in this early on, and Scott was involved, and the commissioners were involved, and there again, due to the fact that we had a negative when the city pulled out, this has been turned into at least an attentiveness on the part of these people, and I am aware of it, but they did the work, and I'm proud of them for doing it so far, and hopefully we can get this budget within our parameters so that it doesn't hurt us financially. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you for everything
Jason,
today.
I mean, he knows I appreciate it. And I appreciate Donna too. Donna took the time to go out to the EMS, I found out, and talk with you guys, and that's really nice of her to do that.
Yep, there it was. Well, thank you for everything today.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we need a motion to, oh, hang on, got your hand up.
Well, I just received this recently, 1st of July 2020, and I thought Donna may want to make a little comment on it. This state budget agency has calculated the maximum levy growth. Do you remember this, Donna? I guess she's busy.
I'm sorry, what?
This thing from the state telling us what our growth is.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to?
Let me see what you got. Doesn't look like mine.
How does that growth show up when we're told we're not gonna have as much money?
Oh, the growth quotient for the budget is 4.2%, so our maximum levy will increase by 4.2% over last year.
So property tax will roughly go up 4.2% as far as
Our maximum levy will go up.
maximum levy.
I can't say the property tax rate will, but the growth will.
Well, I understand.
Yeah.
Because there's new assessments.
Right, it usually runs anywhere from 3 to 4%. This year it happened to be 4.2.
So that's about half of our general fund budget,
So,
right?
oh,
Isn't
no,
the
it's
property
not that
tax
much.
about half of our budget?
Yeah, close to it. I think the approved budget last year was 32 and the property tax was almost 14,
Yeah, not quite,
somewhere around there, yeah.
45%.
It's gonna be a lot worse next year, but, yeah.
Well, the property tax won't, though. That's what I'm
Well,
verifying.
No,
right?
because we can only gain
Our levy will go up.
4.2%. It's just,
But
the other revenues are really,
won't go down like Lowit's going down, right?
no.
That's all I
Not
want
the
to make sure.
property tax,
Just want to be sure. Now, other question, have you borrowed any money this year?
I borrowed back in May and paid it back. Remember, I had you guys approve.
But you didn't borrow it from a bank or anything?
No, we never planned to borrow from a bank.
Well, I understand.
Right.
I just wanted to get that
I still
out.
have the resolution on hand to borrow the 500,000 for rainy day, which I haven't had to yet, but yeah, I'm going to. September's bad because that's our next 3 pay month,
There you go.
and a 3 pay month really zaps us. So probably I'll be borrowing that 500,000 from rainy day, and I may be coming back asking to borrow from the property tax replacement fund again. Can't borrow from the bank, it's too late, so.
Well, it's just, but when you do it from that replacement fund, it's temporary till you get your draw.
Yes, yeah, oh yeah, because when I do a settlement, that money has to go to the state anyway, so I have to get that paid back. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Well,
We're
I
not-
just think,
We're not paying interest on it, Ron.
Right, and with the extension of the property taxes, with the 60-day extension, there was, in that 60-day extension, there was 8 million collected, so I'm doing an advanced draw this Thursday to all the units, just on that collections for that 60-day extension. So, hopefully any shortfalls they had in the June settlement will be made up by this advance, so, I mean, it's gonna help us too, so I'm hoping with that advance, maybe we'll make it. I don't know. I don't wanna have to borrow from any fund if possible, but.
No, please, thank you.
Thank you. So far, I mean, this would have been a great year, because, I mean, we didn't even fill out any papers, tried to even attempt to get a bank loan. And we only borrowed 300,000 from the bank last year, so it basically wasn't much of anything, so I'm sure we'll be filling out paperwork this year, for next year.
well, I just feel like it needs to be said, because once the circuit breaker hit us, over that period of time until now, every member of this council, no matter whether they're here now or not, has had the same goal, and this was the year where we kind of
You reached it, yeah.
reached that goal,
You
and
did,
here
absolutely.
comes the epidemic.
Bert, this would have been the first year, and I couldn't tell you how many
20
years.
years I've been here, 21. We've been borrowing ever since I got
Yes,
here.
this would have been the first year we wouldn't have had to borrow.
We started out, when I first came on, reassessment was
Yep.
way heavy in funding.
Yep.
We borrowed from reassessment for a few years
Yep.
and then finally ended up at the bank. And so I'm just proud of everybody that I've worked with. And
Yeah, I give council a lot of credit for that. Finally listening to what's going on.
Well, I would tell you this, plan to spend a little more time in budget session this year.
Oh, yes, a lot more time.
Move to adjourn.
So I've heard it. A
Second?
motion to adjourn from Brian, a second from Jessica. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers, Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
yeah.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
I gotta use the restroom, I'm sorry.
Thank you, guys.
I'll tell you what.